Let's bring in our Monday panel. Sky News hosts Steve Price and Joe Hildebrand. Welcome.
Good evening. Lovely to be here.
Steve, I mean, you look at these international leaders, they can't distinguish between a rogue, evil regime that funds terrorism, that was behind the October 7 attacks to begin with, and a democracy. Do you think in Australia this is all about the politics of Western Sydney and a far-left ideology?
I think that's where it started. I mean, we saw that during the lead up to the election campaign, didn't we, with the seats in southwest Sydney in particular, that Labor cabinet ministers hold, Tony Burke and others, Chris Bowen, and they did not want to upset their constituency. But the time for that's gone now. I mean, I think what you've said at the start of the show is outstanding. And you just wonder, don't you, when Anthony Albanese wanders in to this one-on-one meeting with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump asks him what he makes of the Israeli action to get rid of Iran's capability to build a nuclear weapon. What's Anthony Albanese going to say? Is he going to say, well, as my Foreign Minister Penny Wong has been saying, this is all about diplomacy. We need to get the diplomats talking to each other to try and stop what's going on. Well, the time for that has passed. I mean, sadly, it's passed. And as you point out, the response from Iran has just been showering rockets down on Tel Aviv, whereas the Israelis have gone in there with precise bombs, taking out these weapons manufacturing plants, plus we should never forget taking out the leaders of their military, the nuclear scientists, the generals, the people running the Islamic Guard. I mean, Israel is the best at doing this of anyone in the world. And, no matter what you think of Benjamin Netanyahu, the bloke's got the guts to carry out what he knows has to be done.
Exactly. Oh, and by the way, I think he's a brilliant and courageous leader who, and I just feel like I have to say that because all you ever hear is criticism of him. I mean, he is prepared to have the courage to defend his people and strike Iran. Joe, I think it's getting to the point where the Albanese government can't actually acknowledge that Israel ever does anything right.
Look, I think what you're saying is them just trying to be diplomatic and sort of making these motherhood statements, urging restraint, which I know gets a lot of people's back up. And I think you're absolutely right when you say that it's one thing for everyone to urge restraint when you're not the one who has the nuclear warhead pointed directly at you. When it's a question of... That's right. Well, perhaps we will. But I suppose when you know that if, the hypothetical question or the academic question of whether or not Iran has nuclear weapons capability, that moment you find that out is when there is a nuclear warhead headed straight for Tel Aviv and Jerusalem that wipes Israel off the face of the map. And so I think the rest of the world needs to understand that that is how Israel's seeing it and is acting on that basis. And I think it is absolutely right to act on that basis. The other thing I think is that the Iranian leadership is in a whole world of trouble at the moment. I think I was listening to an Israeli commentator saying just the other day that actually Israel and Iran have a common enemy, the Iranian government. The Iranian people despise the regime. I remember seeing a bumper sticker just after the 1979 revolution in my home street in Melbourne. It just said Ayatollah, Asahola. And I think that actually still sums up the mood on the ground. I know Iranians have had to flee from the previous Green Revolution. And again, we need to say it doesn't really matter what the Australian government says or does. What matters is what Donald Trump and the Americans say and do. And if Israel needs more military capability to finish the job, then I think the Americans should give it to them, whether they do it covertly or openly or not.
Very good point.
Well, the problem is the Australian government's saying nothing. I mean, they're not saying anything, Joe. Where are they? No, I mean, why does Penny Wong wander around talking about diplomacy? I mean, for goodness sake. I mean, have the courage to stand up and be honest about it. It is embarrassing. We look weak. And Donald Trump's going to look at Albanese on Wednesday morning or whenever it is our time, and he's going to see a weak man. I mean, you can't back away from what they've been saying, Joe. They're not strong enough.
No, exactly. And he knows he's a weak man.
I think it's warheads, not words, as the Israeli Foreign Minister said, is what's important.
He did it so well, my good friend Amir.